look everywhere. Madame Clarkson, who was then Governor General of Canada, came and visited me some years ago. It was in the last year that, of her term. And I had written her, actually, inviting her to come by and take a look at the collection. Of course, with her background in 30 years with CBC, she had a very keen interest in Canadian literature. She spent literally an afternoon with me reviewing the collection, and praised me for putting in the effort and getting as far as I did, actually, with the collection. When she came into power, her and John Ralston Saul had realized that there wasn't a complete collection of these titles at Rideau Hall. They did end up embarking on putting together a collection themselves. Pardon me. They did embark on putting a collection of these titles together themselves. And, but their approach actually was quite different from mine. They wanted to put a good reading collection together. What I did was something completely different. I wanted, my objective was to go out and collect every first English language edition and as many unique copies as possible. And of course the condition, the condition actually being is the best condition as possible also. I did end up on one of my visits actually back to Ottawa at the end of Madame Clarkson's term. She allowed me to take a look at her collection, and she did. They put a huge amount of effort into putting this together. But as I'd mentioned earlier, it's something different than what I've done. It's a good reading collection, and it's very important, I think, with what they did. I really would like to see more people collect these and preserve these early titles. I think they're extremely important and should be preserved. One of the really exciting things about this project has been corresponding with many of the, well, actually all of the living Governor General Award-winning authors for fiction. And many for poetry too. I've been corresponding with. I feel very honored and grateful, actually, to have spent some time chatting with these authors. Most of what I've been corresponding with them about is the publications of their books, but also just to see, for them to actually attend some of the exhibits and to get everyone excited, actually, about Canadian literature. I mean, what we're attempting to do here is really get everyone excited, all Canadians excited about our literary heritage. What I would suggest to other collectors, there's, Canada here, we're a young country, and there's many, many areas to collect in. I think the reason I did this and embarked on this was everyone was chasing after these same titles, the high spots of English language titles in the U.S. and in Britain. And we really are producing some wonderful, wonderful authors and some wonderful, wonderful art in this country. And I think that, to be honest, I think for many years, I think Canadians have had an inferiority complex about what we're producing in Canada. And I can assure everyone that we are producing some of the best literature in the world is coming out of Canada. I had asked myself on several occasions over the last decade whether I was committing financial suicide by putting this collection together. And over that decade, there's been numerous authors who have won, Canadian authors who have won the Booker Prize and other major, other international awards that have drawn more and more attention to Canadian authors. And some of these authors are really producing. We have got some phenomenal authors coming out of this country. And that's one of the reasons why, we're exhibiting this collection, is to get Canadians excited about Canadian literature. The first editions of these books really are important in that these were the way the book was originally intended to be presented to the public. The artwork, of course, represents that era. The design of the book, which from a bibliographer standpoint is very, very important. But it's really the way that the book was intended to be read initially. Reading a paperback is a completely different experience than reading the first edition of an important Canadian title. The actual aesthetics of the books themselves, they're really quite something. If you look at them, and especially some of the earlier titles that were done back in the 30s and 40s, are completely different from, are bound totally different from the way the books are bound today. The materials, some of the materials are much nicer than the materials that are used today. The artwork on some of the dust wrappers are simply magnificent. It really represents that period in history on how even the publishers thought, to promote the books. There's even that aspect of it. The artwork is stunning, and I mean, we really are encouraging graphic designers and artists to come in and see the collections too, and that the collection does represent over 70 years worth of graphic design in Canada, which we believe is very important. The impression that we want people to have after visiting us and seeing the exhibit is to realize on how important many of these early titles are. Really, the objective of what we have, or what we're attempting to do here, is to educate the public of our literary heritage. Both the W.A. Deakin Literary Foundation and the Bruce Peel Special Collections Library at the University of Alberta feels it's very important actually to exhibit this material and make the public aware of our long literary heritage here in Canada. I know that many of you out there will say, well, I've never read a Governor General's Award-winning title. I don't know any of the authors who've won. Well, I'm here to tell you actually that you probably are aware of numerous titles actually in the winning list, but you're just unaware of it. A couple examples are Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, which won the Governor General's Award for prose or for fiction, and also Michael Ondaatje's The English Patient, which was not only won the award, but it was also made into a film which won an Academy Award. These authors are being celebrated all over the world, and we're hoping to do the same thing here actually with this exhibit. Am I a bibliomaniac? I would probably have to say yes. I think you've really got it bad when over the last 25 years, every trip that I have taken leaving my home has been a book trip. I think that's a sign actually that you're pretty passionate about something. I think when you spend every spare moment I have, I'm tracking down books. It is an obsession. I don't think it's a bad obsession. I think you have to keep it in check because it is easy actually to spend your life savings, which in my case I've done. I've spent everything I own actually on books. I think you've got it bad actually when you spend everything you own on books. What kind of advice could I end up giving to new and even existing book collectors? I think that for many years I collected a lot of authors that I really loved. I think I get asked this quite often from people is what would you invest in? And that's a word that I just investing in books is not a good idea. I think you buy what you love. I think that there's many areas of collecting that have not been explored yet. There's lots of genres and a lot of authors that have not been collected in depth. The kind of advice I would give anyone who's contemplating putting a collection together is to find an author or a genre that you're interested in, and really do that in depth. In fact, I find it fascinating in that that many private collectors who really collect an author or a genre in depth will know more about that subject or author than any book dealers or any scholars will, because they've handled a lot of the material. They look for issue points. Book dealers, scholars can't know everything, and many collectors actually, if they become very focused on their collection and get serious about it, really become an expert actually on the subject. So there's many areas actually that have not been explored yet, and I encourage everyone actually to go out there and find something that you're interested in, that you're passionate about, and have some fun.